my friends, and welcome. Today we are jumping into my non-spoiler slash super spoiler review of Thunderbolts. This was a film I got to see twice, and honestly, the first time I wasn't expecting to see it at all. I had no expectations, no just idea that I would end up at the premiere of Thunderbolts, and in fact, I got a call from my friend Coy saying, hey, I don't think my fiance can make it. Do you think you can? And then an hour later, he called me back and said, actually, she can make it. So I, put back all of the outfits choices that I was going to buy. And then 2 hours later, he's like, hey, so she definitely can't go. Do you think you can make it in an hour and a half? And so I finagled, I pulled together this outfit, which still got a lot of compliments. I'm very surprised. But it was great. I showed up there at 5:15. I helped him out get his BTS, and then got to see a lot of wonderful people, wonderful friends, wonderful celebrities, wonderful cast actors that I hadn't seen in such a long time. And it was great. Got to go see Thunderbolts, and there's nothing like seeing a movie in the theaters. There is nothing like seeing a screening with peers, but there is nothing in this earth that can prepare you for a premiere audience. This is with a group of people who made the film, with enthusiasts, with other actors from other Marvel projects. I was sitting next to one of Agatha's cult members. It was just fantastic, and it brings a different kind of feel to watching a film when it's just people who not only love the craft, but they love the IP and they love their fellow peers on the screen. So it fills me with so much warmth to be able to have this privileged life where I'm able to have these opportunities to see premieres and see films the way that they were intended to be seen. It warms me. So I got to see it there, and then I got to see this film in IMAX at the IMAX headquarters yesterday, where this one was I'm gonna sit back and take copious amounts of notes when thinking about it. I got 4 pages, and honestly, it's just so hard because this is a film that you kind of have to sit and watch and experience and feel. I did my short little non-spoiler review about this film, and I did mention that it is very heavy on the discussion of mental health. And if you're in a dark place, I would go in with a little bit of caution. That kind of is the theme of this. We're talking about Sentry, and we're talking about the Void and the way that they adapted this character. Because in the comics, truly, how could a bunch of people who punch and shoot guns fight Sentry? That is... And I know that there's a debate or like a controversy online that it's hard, or not even online, but in the comic book sphere, that you don't want to compare Sentry to Superman, even though that's kind of what he is. Like, let's be honest. His kryptonite is the Void. That's point blank period. I mean, he's got these powers of levitation. He's got not astral projection, but he's got like force fields, and he's got telekinesis and telepathy, and just like really all of the mental, physical prowess. He flies. There's so much going on with this guy. And even in the film, and I'm just jumping right into the spoilers. Again, if you haven't seen this film, please stop. What are you doing? Don't watch this video. Or do, I don't care. If you like spoilers, stay tuned. But where I'm talking full-on spoilers, and I'm very excited because not only did I get to see it 2 times, I also got to have a talk session with the director of the film. He did a Q&A after the IMAX screening, and he told a lot of stuff. He's just a very talkative man, so it was really exciting to have both of those experiences. But just going straight into the spoilers, it's interesting because Sentry, or Bob Robert, goes into talking about how he is a god, and so why should he take orders from Valentina Fontaine? And I'm like, yeah, but it's interesting because guys, and I'm gonna ramble, and that's, you just gotta follow along. I'll get to my notes eventually. This movie was tricky for me. I gave this movie an 8 out of 10. And a lot of that comes from my own internal biases. I have such a hard time with the idea of therapy. When I was growing up, therapy was always used as a weapon against me. And so when I see movies that highlight that, I feel like I don't get to watch it. And again, this is my own personal take. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with therapy, because I think people who need it, I'm so glad that it is there for them and accessible to those who can get it. And if it's not accessible, I hope it becomes accessible. Like, people who need therapy, I'm so glad that they have it. That's the point blank period. For me, it's always been something that's been used as a weapon against me. So I naturally just have this aversion to wanting to see that. And it sucks. It really does, because I feel like, Jesus Christ, if there was a superhero therapist show, the way I would watch that. Like, I loved Moon Knight. I love the split personality. I love this idea because the mind is such a powerful thing. And so, yeah, it would make sense that someone who is bipolar, because let's be honest, that's what Sentry is. He's bipolar, he's manic depressive. He is so many of these things that it would, if you are so high one day, of course it's gonna be a really low and create the void. And you know, there's so much in this show that I think was very subtle but very honest and very obvious too, that a lot of these anti-heroes were suicidal. That image, and I think that it's really important that they showed Yelena. I mean, she's lost her family at this point. She's lost her sister, and she feels like there is nothing left. And I need people, because I can't talk, like, people don't get it. And I hate that I have to explain it to people. But that moment where she is going deeper, it's like Inception. There's so many different movies, like with the Terminator, and I'm bouncing everywhere. I'm so sorry. I will stay on point. But there's so many other movie references in this one movie. And I love that shot of Bucky when you first see him and he shoots that little like mind tosser, the M-I-N-E, the mind tosser at the limo, and he's in that like Terminator shot. I was like, I see what you did there. But going into when they're in the Inception mind frame and the last scene before Yelena gets to Rob, when he's in his attic, the quiet place, it's interesting because every layer that we go deeper into Yelena's subconscious, we're supposed to be peeling back the layers of a deeper, darker moment. And so in her mind, that first layer of darkness, at least the first one that comes to mind, you know, when we're sitting there in our car and we just have that gross moment that just randomly pops up and gives us anxiety, because we all have that. We all have a memory that'll just like sneak up to the subconscious one day and you're just like, Jesus Christ, why that was that first moment. And for her, it was that dark moment of her killing for the first time. But then as we peel back the layers, it was her trying her darndest to build the gun faster so that she doesn't have to subdue the trauma and the torture and the punishment of the lashes on the hands. And then when you peel the layer deeper, you find that the real trauma comes from her and her adult life when she tried to kill herself. Or rather, I don't know if it was an actual attempt to commit suicide or just like the apathy of like, if I just drink all this, who cares? Like, what does it matter? And I love that that's the moment, because that's the bonding. It's the bonding of, he's even talked about like, you know, the suicidal tendencies, and he didn't care about his life. That's why he did this, just testing, you know, yeah, you have a better life, but you might die. And so who cares? Like, it's that apathy and it's that dark place. You see that everywhere. And all of that to say, going back, like, know that this is it can be triggering. This movie might be triggering for some people. So go in with that caution. But I love that we're talking about this, and going back even further, it's just, when I watched this film the first time, I had to not watch it here. I had to like come above myself, because whenever I see movies that are talking about mental health and talking about, you know, the therapy and you need to not bottle it down and talk to other people, I find myself like immediately triggered in my own and like turned off. And I hate that. I hate that the trauma of my past forces me to look at therapy and look at mental health in that light, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm strong enough to handle it myself. I don't need therapy. And like, I stand by that. I in my life, I don't think I subscribe to therapy. I can understand, I can rationalize, I can deal with it. And that's my own personal journey. So I have to watch movies like this like above it. I can't watch it this way. I have to like take myself out and watch it from up here. And that's what I did. And I feel like that helped me enjoy it that much more. But the reason why I gave this movie, and now that we're putting the therapy stuff aside, that's just, I'm giving you my emotional feelings to this. But the reason why I truly felt like this was an 8 out of 10 for me were the goddamn chairs. The Avenged chairs. I wish they would have just waited to do that Doomsday chair cast reveal until after this movie, because it took away all of the stakes. The second that I knew that Taskmaster wasn't going to be in the next film, that Yelena, that damn near all of, that Bobby, that, the Red Guardian, that all of these people, Bucky, all of them were going to be in Doomsday, it took the stakes away. And what a powerful movie this would have been if the Void actually killed all of them. If they truly were stuck, if New York, Brooklyn, the whole fucking island was just voided. And the only way that they could get back is if they got through the traumas. Because the thing about the blip that I really enjoyed is like, that was a serious consequence. These individuals lost 5 years just gone, just everything that they, and some people, like, it's the argument, and I don't know if you guys have had this conversation before, but the idea of you come back to the spot that you were blipped at. So if you happen to be blipped in an airplane, that's where you're coming back to. You are blipping 50,000 billion feet in the air, and you just start you wake up, or you're on a plane, and then the plane is just gone. You blink and the plane is gone, and you're just free falling. So when I see that, you know, the little girl is gone 1 second, and then once, you know, they solve him, they help his mental health, and they're able to escape the void together as friends, and everyone just comes back. At no point did I ever think they were going to die, and I wish I did. I wish I had that moment, like, oh God, did Yelena just off herself? Like, did she really not, like, because the whole journey of this film is Yelena is so apathetic to life and what matters, and feeling like things don't matter, and resonating with the dark side of Bob, that when she walks into the void, her father, her friends at this point truly believe that she has hit rock bottom so much that she sees this as an out. And I wanted to feel, I knew that that's what the movie wanted me to feel, but I just didn't feel that, because I always knew she gonna make it to Doomsday. And I wish I just had that moment. And so because of that, it was hard for me to really land on all these emotional beats, because I had that knowledge that she was always going to be there. I had the knowledge that the Taskmaster wasn't going to make it that far in the movie because of how little they were in the trailers. And I mean, we're spoilered fiends. We are connoisseurs of comics. And so we divest and digest these pieces of media so much so that it's hard for us to really just sit and enjoy it just as is. And that's okay. I know that that's the way that we are now, and I still find enjoyment in this film. I found so much enjoyment every time she called him daddy. I thought that was so sweet and endearing, because, you know, the rational side of her mind knows that this was a red room planted family and it's not real, but every time she called him daddy, it just warmed my heart, because that is a family. I'm someone who truly believes in found families. And I think that that's really important, that we don't, you know, it's okay to accept the family that is your family, but it's also important to find other family that is your chosen family. And for me, I've always subscribed to that idea that the chosen family is just as strong, if not stronger, than the family that you just have. I haven't even got through any of my notes. I'm just talking to you guys. I'm already 13 minutes in. I love that we're highlighting Ox now. You know, we had Hydra, and we had the Shield moment, and I love that now that Valentina Allegra de Fonte is now having her time in the sun with the Ox Corporation, and I do hope we get more of that. I hope that we get more forward facing now that she is the leader of the New Avengers, or the money of the New Avengers. I hope that we get a little more backstory on Ox in live action. Oh my God, why? Thank you for those of you who said bless you. Why did we have to kill the Taskmaster? Let's be honest. I've talked to so many of my comic connoisseur friends, of my comic correspondent friends, on why we made the decision to just Taskmaster. And I think the most interesting observation that people have said is because the actress doesn't speak English all that well. And that was the only real answer. No one could give me a solid, concrete answer as to why, other than to, like, that's the only stake in this film, is that Taskmaster died. But, like, that moment when they're scavenging, that Ghost and the US agent are scavenging on the body, the remains of the Taskmaster, and Yelena's like, guys, like, come on. Like, I love that the apathy for her comes out a little bit. And speaking of other really cool things that were added in, like I mentioned, I talked to the director, and Collider did an interview with him while we were all at this Q&A, and that moment that, like, Daredevil, because I saw Daredevil, he called it the Mission Impossible shot, but the one shot of Yelena, it's like an overhead, and she's just fighting all of these bad guys, and we kind of see the shadows of them. The reason why that moment was so important for the director was because he wanted to show Yelena's emotional state, that it's just routine at this point. She's so numb to everything that she's doing that these are just faceless, nameless bodies. But also it is a call back to the void, and that slowly this darkness is creeping into her, and that was the physical personification of Yelena having that same kind of symbiotic relationship with her darkness that the Void and Sentient or Sentry has with his, and that they're almost parallel characters. So as this movie progresses, we see that Yelena sees so much of herself in Sentry, so much so that it's easy for her to become that void, to become that nothingness, and to succumb to her darkness. So I like those parallels, and I love that Yelena is the one that's like, no, like I'm not gonna do that. And throughout this movie, we see that disgust, like, Yelena, your light is dying, your light is dying, and now that you have these friends, it's coming back. And yeah, I can see that. I can see that having friends and having a family and having a community is a good way for you to come back and to rejuvenate yourself and rejuvenate your interests. And so I love that they discussed this and talked about that in this film. I thought that was great. There's just so much I can discuss with this film, and I'm going to be doing a lot of live streams with people where we can discuss that more. But honestly, like, I feel like I talked about a good chunk of things. I don't want to keep you guys on this live forever, but those are kind of like my big personal thoughts watching through it. Oh, you know what the last thing I want to say is? R.I.P. Holt. This goes back to the blip conversation I had earlier, but just that idea that when you come back from being voided, you came back to relatively where you were, and Holt was on the plane. Holt was on the helicopter that fell, and so that, talking about casualties, yeah, R.I.P. Taskmaster and R.I.P. Holt, because I love that. I love that actor is from True Blood, and the second I saw him in that screen, I was like, oh, and I saw him walking around the premiere too, and I was like, I was too nervous. I was too nervous to go say hi, because like I loved that man in True Blood, and he's just, I'm so glad like stars from older franchises that I love are coming back and having like another time in the sun, and it just makes me very happy. But yeah, I loved a lot of aspects of this film. I don't know that I subscribe to all these people saying that we're back, because I don't ever feel like Marvel went anywhere. I found joy in every single movie that was released, and I know some of you are going to be like, but Miss Marvel, what about it? What about it? I loved the Marvel shows. I loved the Captain Marvel. I loved all of it. I love Marvel. I love this world, and I love these characters. And so for me, I think this just gave me a different kind of a feel. I don't think that there's ever been a show I think Moon Knight is the closest, because that also kind of talks about, it absolutely talks about mental health. Sorry, every time I talk, my nose just goes. It's a weird habit of mine. So I'm sitting here. Anyway, but Moon Knight was the closest show that gave me the same feels that this one did, that it hit me more reactionary and emotionally than mentally, and I guess that's all I want to say. How did you guys feel watching this movie? Were there any kind of moments that got you? Did you feel like the chairs, having the Avenged chairs, took a little bit away from this movie? Like I did. Let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to hear from you guys on how you feel when you watch it. So those are my quick and dirty. Oh, one last thing I do want to point out to you guys, because it was something that the director said during the Q&A last night. The second cutscene. There are two cutscenes. There are two cutscenes if you guys are going to watch this, and if you haven't, go back and rewatch it. But the second cutscene, apparently that was filmed a month ago. The director had he was not the one that directed that. He just added it in, but that was filmed a month ago while they were in production of Doomsday. So that's, the cast got back together, and they shot that particular scene 1 month ago while they were also filming Doomsday. So I thought that was a cute little additive, because that wasn't something that was pre-planned way back when, because you know this film took 72 days to film, and a lot of that time was cut due to strikes and all kinds of stuff. So I'm glad that after 72 days we finally got this film, and it did exactly what it was supposed to. Made us feel. That's all I got, guys. So that is my quick and dirty reaction to this film, and I guess review and all of the above, and I will see you guys for the next one. Talk to me in the comments. Bye.